Hello, Renee the Curious here. GPT-5 has been out for some days, and maybe you, like me, have played with it, tried to use it in productive work. I use Claude a lot, as some of you know, and also Gemini. The Pro and Flash models are good too. Now with Sonnet 4 and Opus 4.1 is ChatGPT for software engineering, GPT-5, good, better, worse, or just different? And I was wondering how to empirically compare them because I do have a bias towards and for Anthropic's work. I feel that they have spent a lot of time ironing out the details to make their model just really, really good. Their models actually for software engineering. And that's been my experience, and a lot of other people on the internet, the interwebs, have said something very similar. So here's the example that or use case I thought would be interesting to compare them with. Now, in the application, one of the projects that I've been developing and maintain in the past so many months and years actually is Alberta Well Finder. And recently I wrote a method to switch between accounts. So if a user, he's signed in, let's say he's Joe, and Joe Bishop wants to switch to a different organization to collaborate with those users, he can do that. He can click the other organization and switches in. Now, what I've noticed though is because this is not actually an anchor reference, this item here, if we peek at it, and you'll see in header.svelte, there is a, what is it here? Yeah, so there's a button because this doesn't navigate. This is just a button that instantiates a modal. And whereas these other things up here are buttons, or rather are links, and you can navigate to other places, which I won't do right now because I want to stay on the map page. But do you notice something interesting about switch? If you're a typographic enthusiast, it doesn't quite line up with workspace. Now, I know why. It's a button, and so although you can't see it, there's actually some padding above and below it that it just doesn't line up. Now we can fix that. I can go in, anyone who's worked in the web for a while and add CSS classes and correct that. But I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to see how easily or not Claude Sonnet 4 and GPT-5 handle this problem? So let's try. Now what I'm going to do to help the model is give it a screenshot of what I'm describing and the same prompt. Switch. And it will figure this stuff out anyways, but I like telling it the file name. And I like telling it not too much because that can sort of decrease the scope of possibilities. So this is something in Prompt Engineering 101. A good prompt can be specific and detailed at times, and maybe should be, but sometimes when we're solving a problem, as opposed to creating a solution or not a solution, solving a problem would be a solution, creating something new that we know exactly what we want to keep the prompt kind of simple. And yeah, this one seems fine. Now let's get a screenshot of this. Now there's a few ways we can do that. We can just do the Mac, what is it? Shift Command Control 4 or whatever. And actually I'll escape that and try it again. And just get the part that we actually really care about. Now you're wondering, they look pretty close. Well, here, I'll show you another trick that I use when trying to make apps and websites pixel perfect. And you can do this, of course, in Chrome or Brave or Firefox or whatever, but I like using the simulators because, I don't know, I just do. So let's go to map. And now I'm not signed in as a user, but you know, you get the idea. We'll turn off facilities. And let's actually, yeah, let's look at the exact, just for the sake of whatever. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at the same place. Oh, and we actually do need to sign in because Yeah, let's see. What would I sign in as? All right. So let's go back. Let's go back to map. And now we can see a little more clearly that switch is indeed above workspace. All right. So that's it. It's not rocket science. Just I like using the simulator sometimes to see what they'll look like on iOS and Android directly. All right. So we have our screenshot in the clipboard. So I'll paste. Oops. Oh, I thought we did. We did some copying and pasting already. Okay. So let's get this again. And in fact, here, let's just, oops, didn't mean that. Let's do it in browser this time. Okay, zooming all the way up, a little too far. And this just gives us a little more resolution for the model to work with. So it should be able to detect the difference in the vertical alignment of this text. Okay, hopefully I got it. All right. And we'll go back down. Okay. And paste. And we're starting with GPT-5. So this is taking a little while. It's a winding road. And as many of you do, I found it helpful to start in planning. Unless it's like super obvious, maybe you're working with it in a certain conversation or chat, and you know that it's going to figure out the next thing. So we'll just start with plan mode, and we'll do the same with in Sonnet in a moment. And we'll go, oh, and it didn't do my stopwatch. Got to do the stopwatch. Here we go. Okay. So we are comparing GPT-5 and Sonnet 4. I could use 4.1, but I think in terms of token cost, Sonnet 4 is maybe more fair. Could be wrong. We'll see. Okay, so what is it thinking? And this is fun. I like reading through its thought process at times. Let's see, there are several elements in the header, a star icon. Yeah, it's an inference is good. Text that says workspace, circular logo avatar, likely the organization logo. That's right. And answer shuffle, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, so it thought for a bit, and or maybe I shouldn't be penalizing it for my reading speed. Yeah, and so it figured this out. Now, this is not like incredibly deep or complex, but it's nice. Sometimes even when we know what's wrong, it's reassuring to see that the models can reason it out the same. And maybe we're not sure. And so the models tell us, you're right, man. Good for you. So what's the plan? Inherit the base styling. Okay, so I'm going to try to one-shot this. And I didn't say to it in the prompt, which I normally do. I normally end my questions with, do you understand perfectly my intent, blah, 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 with 100% confidence, or do you have clarifying questions? And that's good because it doesn't always presume to, or rather it does often presume to sort of do a best guess without telling you where it's insured. So it'll just make decisions. And why don't we do that for now? So we'll say yes, and we'll continue timing. And let's see if it gets it right. And this is, by the way, you notice this API request taking a while? This is what I've noticed when using GPT-5 through VS Code's Cline extension and using the API tokens. And I don't know why that is. Maybe everyone's using GPT-5 API access through VS Code, or many people are. But yeah, it's not a speedball. And that's one thing that OpenAI kind of talked on and on about when they did their release last week, was how much faster it is. And maybe it is faster. I don't know. This could be teething pains. Teething? Growing pains? I don't know. Okay, while it works and thinks, What can we talk about? Oh, well, my initial and second attempt using GPT-5 in VS Code over the weekend didn't work at all. I got some errors. I paid the money. I paid 25 or bought $25 in API tokens, and it just got stuck. And I think maybe it's happening again. Okay, we'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Yeah, other than that, I actually find as time goes on, using these models through MCP in VS Code, where they're making tool calls and they're sharing their reasoning with you, they're all getting better. I have my favorite for actual work, and that is obviously Anthropic Claude. But even with Gemini, they're getting better and better. And oh, there we go. And to such an extent that I think it's a bit of familiarity, which is something that a colleague of mine, Robert Cooper, posted and discussed on LinkedIn. And it's something I agree with. I think the one that you're more familiar with is the product that you're probably better with. And that just comes with practice. Maybe there's an affinity. Oh, interesting. This happened to me also on Sunday. So I don't know what's going on here. If any one of you out there in YouTube land does, please let me know. Limit 3,000. So we're not even close to our context window threshold. This suggests to me, yeah, that there's maybe something tokens per minute. Well, I'm paying and I have the actual API key here. So I don't know. I will visit this link later and try to learn more. So in any case, we'll stop there. So 4 minutes and 22 cents, which I've wasted, or GPT-5 wasted it. Let's start over and see what we can do better with Monsieur Claude. Okay, so I'll copy that, and I should actually, let's use the exact same. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, what changes did it make? Nothing here that I can see fixed it. It's still wrong. Yeah, it's not quite right. So it's been changing some things. All right, so we'll, again, one of the things that's great with Git is let's just throw it away and start over. All right. And we'll download this guy. Upload. Okay, and starting again. So 4 minutes, 10-ish. So you'll notice the response is a little quicker. It's not showing as much oh, I know, I made a mistake. I was supposed to start in planning. Oops. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, and I didn't. Oh, yeah. This messes me up sometimes. So for example, it remembers both in planning and in acting which one we're at. And I wonder if I was on Anthropic when I was planning. Okay, in any case, we'll see. GPT-5 did, for what it's worth, fail. And maybe it can blame the planning of Claude. All right, so here, we'll try this again. Same prompt. Okay, and plan away, Monsieur Claude. There we go. Okay, so now we're getting to thinking. That's what was funny last time. Yeah, very similar. I think I was on Claude. Well, in any case, we'll see how Sonnet does. It seems the reasoning was the same. Yeah. Yeah. Whoever is responsible for the Cline extension and VS Code, it's probably more Cline. It would be really nice if we had bookmarks so I could just click like Claude, a little button called Claude, and it would switch both the planning and the acting models to the same one. Currently, yeah, you have to manually change them. I would even like one like good, better, best, where it starts off with maybe Gemini Pro 2.5 Flash. Medium would be Pro, and then best would be Sonnet 4 or maybe Opus 4.1. That would be really nice. Oops. Okay. Yep. Okay. This stopwatch is probably meaningless because I forgot to turn it back on. This is what I get for trying to multitask. All right. So we're running this in dev mode, which means in Svelte in dev mode, there is a hot module reloader. So it'll just reload the page when it detects code changes. Super nice developer experience we've had for some time now, thanks to Rich Harris and the team and the developers of Eat, actually, probably more so, Evan Yu. Okay, task completed. Oh, and well, look at that. Here, and this is my old school way of showing alignment. It is, I think, perfect. Here, let's bump this guy up as much as we can before it collapses. And yeah, fix the problem. Okay, let's stop. So that's just over a minute. So this is perhaps not the best because we were likely using Sonnet 4 for reasoning, but isn't that interesting? 29 cents, did some thinking, some code changes. What did it change? Oh, okay. So it changed it to an anchor reference. So that's one way. We could have done it. He could have done it in CSS. And I think, to be honest, it should have done it. It should have left it as is, as a button, because semantically this is not correct. Anchor references imply navigation, and so also for accessibility, that's that's wrong. But you can't argue with the fact that it works. And so at this point, yeah, it works. Let's do something though. That was a one shot. Let's continue. And here, I'm going to switch back to planning just to see how it thinks. What are you thinking about? The user is absolutely right. They're asking me to keep it as a button because semantically blah, blah, blah. Now, as you've probably experienced, sometimes these models, they agree with you because they are designed really to satisfy or please the users, not to be a bastion or canon of truth. But hey, he's right, I'm right, or she's right, whatever. And maintain, yeah, it's harmful to accessibility. All right, so And I love this, planning, and then it stops. You can read it, and then yeah, go do it. So we'll just wait a little more and bring over our enormous iPad. Or can I make this even, more enormous? Okay, so we can see it switching or changing styles. So that's, and it's not aligned. Okay. And let's give it, let's give it another little screenshot. And we're not gonna, let's just act. So I call these little things nudges. So the first nudge, let's use a button, because we were just fix the alignment. Now it went back to a button, but no, and now it's getting even worse. Okay. Well, that's all for today. So the link approach was working. I think what I'm going to do is just go in and just mangle the CSS myself. But I don't know if that was interesting or helpful, but that's what software development is like. You try things, bang your head against the wall, and sometimes nothing quite works perfectly. But it is fun to try. Anyhow, thanks for your time. Have a great day. Okay, hi again. This is take 2. So I was thinking, why end there when really maybe it's just my imperfect prompt? While I was waxing poetic on not being too specific, I think I wasn't specific enough. So I've revised the prompt slightly, and let's go back and choose for reals. Also interesting, why is OpenAI at the bottom? Maybe this is like a dictionary or set, but come on guys, you could put them in alphabetical order. That seems like, favoritism, I suppose. Okay. Can't blame them for promoting their own business. All right, so we're going to be enacting on OpenAI GPT-5 and planning. Okay, so for real. Now, slightly different prompt. As you can see in the attached screenshot, let's make sure we attach it. I guess I can just drag it in here. Didn't show. All right. Okay. The switch button does not perfectly align with the other anchor links in header.svelte. I want you to keep it as a button for accessibility reasons, but adjust via CSS so it looks exactly like the other anchor links and is vertically aligned with them. Please provide the necessary CSS changes to achieve this. And let's, test the results. And then do you understand perfectly? Okay. So again, this is actually in my system prompt, but I've noticed that sometimes the models, whether it's Anthropic or OpenAI or even Google's Gemini, they seem to put more weight on when you add it to the main or the prompt. And I have a feeling that this is maybe semantically similar to, for example, in CSS and in web development, if we have a CSS class that is respected, but then if you go style equals and you change something that will override the CSS class rules, maybe that's similar. I don't know. Anyways, I just put it in here and I'll use the same one when we try this in Sonnet. And let's plan. All right, so that came back fairly quickly. Oh, we should actually be, why don't we tag this too? Okay. Now, it's taking a long time. And as I said that, it finished. Okay, so it read header. I don't know. Is it network latency? Like, is it sending the files to some, GPT cluster or GPU cluster, on the other side of the planet? I doubt it. But so it's, it read the file. So that's a tool call. It hides a lot of its work behind the scenes, maybe just to shield the user from verbosity. Interesting. All right, we'll close this. And we're at a minute. It's not much to show for it. I noticed that I did something else kind of not quite right. I neglected to start over, so it has sort of the wrong work of, or incomplete work of Claude Sonnet. But it shouldn't matter. This is quite a simple ask. Yeah, I think it's going to time out again with that 30,000 or 3,000 limit. No, maybe not. Okay. Okay, so that was planning. And where we had the timeout was on acting. Oh, I guess it sort of asked me a question. Toggle, okay. Yeah, so I have like dark mode and light mode. If you are using the application, on most of the pages actually have this light mode, which is based on Bulma, but on the map, I just felt it just looked better to have the nav bar, the header in dark mode. All right, so it's writing stuff. 3 minutes. Okay, it was kind of squashed before, so I noticed it improved that bit. So we got a little bit of spacing between switch and, oh, we got another 429. Yep. Limit 30,000 requested, 34,000, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, that, again, we can't blame it on not using GPT-5 for planning. I don't know what's going on. Again, anyone, if you run into this and you know why and what the solution is beyond whatever OpenAI says of this developer rate limits doc, let me know. But let's now try Claude Sonnet, and we will just start over. And let's be sure that so the Claude Sonnet 4 for acting. By the way, I found in many cases, even mixing planning and acting doesn't seem to matter very often. I sometimes forget to switch them both to the same brand of AI, and yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know how any of this works. I'm just banging at the keyboard. All right, so let's use the same prompt, which I won't read again, and let's put our, yeah, in there. Run planning, not acting, planning, Sonnet in both cases, and let's reset, go. This looks better. Yeah, it needs to inherit more styles from the navbar item. So that's a Bulma CSS class, which I've also modified, but it can look at app.css and see, for example, here, I'll give you the lay of the land. Nav item. No, wait a minute. Oh, nav. There we go. So yeah, we have, is map. So these are some of my dark mode overrides. And, okay, so what's it going to do? Yeah, it is using that class as a button. Other items use that. Needs to inherit same visual properties as navbar item. Okay, that sounds totally reasonable. And I like the fact that it's saying to inherit the properties. I wonder if it'll just add those property rules to organization switcher. Okay, reset to browser defaults. So it's saying that it will test. We're just going to pause here for a second. I guess I should pause the stopwatch. I often in my prompts tell it not to run the dev testing thing. Why? It's kind of slow doing it in VS Code, I find, especially if it's complex, and it just eats through a ton of tokens. And often, I just hit reload, or the hot reloader reloads itself, and I can see instantly and without any trouble, oh, now it's aligned. It's fine. So yeah, but it's going to test. And for the sake of entertainment value and educational value for all of you and me, we'll let it test this time. So we'll click act and watch it do its thing. Okay, so it's rewriting the property rules for organization switcher desktop because we're in desktop mode. Okay, we've lost our font weight. But although we've lost our font weight, oh, wait a minute, is it coming back? The spacing is good, although the alignment is still wrong. Oh, proceed while running. Okay. Sorry, Claude. So now it's running little dev server internally, so it can kind of, using computer vision, read the screenshots and operate this virtual mouse. Yeah, and so it's going to navigate to map. Oh, no, why is it having, oh, it's because it's in the viewport's too narrow, and so it's going to like mobile friendly, which doesn't have this issue because the text is gone. Okay, I didn't anticipate that, and I don't think it understands. So we're going to do something different. We're going to say here, stop. Okay, so I sound a little shouty, but again, it seems like sometimes this little bit of hinting, it helps them to sort of know what to focus on. A little bit like how Markdown or JSON in a public project requirements document is semantically more powerful than just writing plain text. And actually, let's switch back to planning. Now we're up to 38 cents with no solution in view yet, but I'm confident. Oh, and it's confident too. I understand the issue. No, you're right. Love hearing that. I was testing in mobile view where the switch button isn't visible. Okay. Now here we go. This is a perfect example why it's not that AI is going to steal my job. It's that it's helping me to do work, but it also needs help from me to direct it in the right way. And so it's going to do that, hopefully. Act. And we shall see. Here, let's get our simulator over here. Okay, so it's changing. There we go. Oh, and we got our font weight, and that looks aligned. Here, let's use our ruler. Yeah, perfect. Pixel, perfect. Awesome. All right, so we'll stop that. So 5.5 minutes there, or give or take. And this is great too. It's ready for you to test, which just using our Mark 1 eyeballs, we can see it's good. So it just changed some of the rules. This is maybe kind of an absurd use of AI, because if you've been doing web development for any length of time, this is something that you can do yourself. And I would argue maybe we should be doing some of these things ourselves. We don't forget how to program with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But I think it's a good use case where the problem was small enough in terms of scope and technical weight that both models could understand it. They had to use computer vision to read the UI, and at the end of the day, we got what we want. So here we click switch, and yep, that's a switch. We click to workspace. That takes us to our workspace. Everything, and it's got the correct modes. Let's go back to our map, and everything looks great. So at the end of the day, we did need to change our prompt a little bit to be clear about using the button and adjusting the CSS styles. And also the testing was interesting. Another thing is when you're doing software development, where some of the work that you have to accomplish with the AI requires that the user be logged in, you need to then either tell it in the prompt what the user ID and password is, which kind of creates some security risks. So you might want to create mock users for that, so then it can sign in and then see the controls, like say in the dashboard or the account page, where only if the user were actually logged in would you see that information. But that's a success. So who wins? Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4 easily, 71 cents. And it did it in, I think it's well under 5 because I was talking a lot. But that's one more adventure in AI. Thanks for your time. And again, have a great day.